how the hell does one get into tattooing?
Are you flirting with me?
Yeah, me and Anna both have a massive crush on you. Give me the intro as if you're talking to just all the new people that don't know about you.
Okay, so plural.
Cool. Yeah. Hey y'all. WikiHow. How to talk to your parents.
Exactly. I think you kind of need to have that rock bottom moment sometimes to sort of kick yourself in the right direction. Detachment, acceptance, confidence, power, self-love. Those are like the ingredients of anything good.
Give me a bottle of that.
I know.
Where do I buy that from?
I feel like had I not been rejected from all the other jobs I'd applied for before deciding to do tattooing, I wouldn't be tattooing. Yeah, I probably would have been sort of paid more at a different job.
You never picked up one of the machine, like not machine. What's it called? What is the?
Yeah, it's a machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say machine gun, but I guess not what it's called. No, it sounds really interesting, and no one's. I mean, I've got tattoos. Sorry, parents. Kim, I'm so excited to have you on today. Can you please start by introducing yourself as if you're meeting someone new for the first time?
Hey y'all, I'm Kim or Kimberley, and I'm a tattoo artist from London. But I haven't always been a tattoo artist. I've had quite a journey, let's say. I started out in, I think we went to university together, but I also did a lot of work in recruitment and other, I guess, professional corporate environments. So going from that to something a bit more creative was scary, but I suppose we'll get into that later. But in a nutshell, I'm a tattoo artist. I dabble in other creative ventures, but I mean, for right now, I'm just vibing because of my cast. But yeah,
thank you for the intro. And let's give people a little bit more context. So you went from being a corporate baddie to a creative baddie. How did you end up in the world of tattooing? What is your origin story?
Oh, so every time I get asked this, I give people different answers. But it's not because, there are two truths, one lie. It's just, there are so many different factors and so many different, I guess, so many different factors that sort of feed into how I got to A to Z or whatever. But primarily I was in a place that didn't feel aligned to me. So, as much as I loved the people I met at university and I was interested and liked the course I was doing, I just knew it wasn't for me. And then similarly, I was also working in a job that, for a uni student was pretty good, as in, financially. And it was, I guess, to some people, impressive on paper. But again, it just did not feel like me, and I couldn't see it sort of getting, I guess, for lack of better words, better in terms of, if I progress, I'll probably feel more fulfilled, or if I earn more money doing this kind of work, I'll feel more fulfilled and a bit happier with sort of a bit more confident in the journey that I'm choosing. So yeah, I did a lot of soul searching. I think when I realized I wanted to be more of a creative was when I was on a school trip to Vienna, and we were on a sleeper train. And I don't want to be offensive, but it wasn't a nice experience. And I think you have to go through the mud to then come out and sort of realize, right, this is what I don't want. This is what I don't like. But okay, we need to sort of refigure something out. And then I came out of that trip, not only sort of, I guess, relieved that I wasn't on the sleeper train, but also I had a whole new perspective and excitement for life. And I was like, this is what I want to do. But that's, part of the story. There's a lot of other, small things, of course, but, I could talk about it for years and years, to be honest. But I think that's a nice little summarized version of it.
What I love about this, and through talking to you about your journey off camera as well, is that like bravery, because we studied together at uni and we were kind of put on like a trajectory of the kind of thing that we should want for ourselves and the kind of jobs that we should want for ourselves. And it takes a lot of bravery to take a step in a completely different direction, especially when you're quote unquote on the correct path already. Like you already had a job, you're working in like a corporate role, like you said, it looked good on paper. And we went to quite a prestigious university, and so there's almost things that you should want for yourself. And it takes a lot of bravery and like self validation and courage to just like be like, nope, I'm gonna do my own thing. So how did you self-motivate and self-validate and just take the brave step of doing your own thing?
That's a really good question. I think, you know, not to toot my own horn, I think I was pretty, I guess, confident and brave already, but I had fears emanating from elsewhere. So I've always been like, I guess, happy to take risks. I can't think of any examples on top of my head, but I've always been the yes friend who's always been like, oh yeah, let's do that. Why not? Let's see where it takes us, you know. And I think, you know, that also applies to my sort of work and school life or whatever. But the bravery bit comes from doing something against my parents' will, I suppose, going against the, you know, the grain that your, I guess, the traditional Asian parents have sort of sown, if that makes sense. I'm sure you get it. But that's when, like, I was terrified because I was doing something that felt like that would bring shame to, I guess, them, but also because because I was shaming them, I had a lot of shame basically because I was choosing myself and not thinking of them and like how the world would see me, which is so silly because in this Western modern society, being a tattoo artist or being a creative is considered quite cool, right? But to my lovely Asian parents who have been brought up in quite a conservative, traditional household, oh my God, I might as well just go to prison, you know? So that was quite scary. And I mean, it is still a bit scary right now. So I think I've always just had to remind myself of that brave, daring Kim that I know. She's still there. Then I'm not like two different people. Like I can, you know, remind myself of that braveness and that daring, dauntless nature in times where I do feel like I'm letting my parents down.
I think that's so important. And also what you said about the cultural factors. Like there's a lot of stigma around not just tattooing, but creative industry in like the more Asian kind of part of the world. I see it in my Indian background as well. I think tattooing takes it another step because in different cultures, tattoos have different meanings, like you said, in terms of like certain things to do with like crime and class, and it's a whole very complicated conversation. And I think part of the bravery is like the skill of communication and actually bringing the people in your life along your journey. And so do you have any advice to people of how they can communicate their vision to their friends, to their family, to their mentors if they want to step out of like their world and try something new?
Oh, that's such a great question. I think there shouldn't be any advice that you like read off the internet or follow. I think
WikiHow, how to talk to your parents.
Exactly. Because you only know, you know, you are the only person that understands your reality, right? So you understand how to navigate all the different types of relationships in your life. So I think it's like putting the big girl boots on and sort of sometimes you just gotta jump. That probably sounds bad, but you have to take the leap of faith and be prepared for whatever happens after, you know. Like you can't just, like, things won't happen for you or to you. Actually, no, there's a quote that says things, I don't know. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like, things just don't happen with you doing nothing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So you kind of have to just bite the bullet, which sounds a bit harsh, but I think for me anyway, that's the only way of moving forward.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a procrastinator when it comes to those kind of things. Like, I hate confrontation. I hate having difficult conversations. I hate anything that requires me either confronting someone with the harsh truth or me being vulnerable. Like, I don't like that. I'm all about... Because you do lose, I guess, control in that aspect, right? Like, it's whatever happens is out of your hands. So I think, again, going back to the bravery of it all, just, yeah, you got yourself, so it's good, and you're good, and you're good, and you're surrounded by friends, hopefully, that have your back.
Amazing. And so, using that advice in mind, how did you take your first brave step when you decided that you wanted to enter the tattooing world? Because coming from a geography and recruitment background, it's not exactly like the clearest path.
Yeah.
So how did you carve that path, and what was the first step?
It's so funny that you asked that, because what really triggered me to apply was a boy broke my heart. But also, my job was also... I had reached a point at my job where they were giving me an ultimatum, not because of like my performance or anything, but they were like, you're a student. We kind of want someone a bit more full-time. But they knew I couldn't do that. So I was at a crossroads. I had to basically go back to recruitment, which was the job that I was doing prior, or just take the leap of faith and, you know, be crazy and do the creative stuff. And you know, you know what decision I took in the end, right? But I think you kind of need to have that rock bottom moment sometimes to sort of kick yourself in the right direction. Because sometimes, I mean, I'd like to think I'm a girl boss and like I get shit done, but sometimes I don't, and I need a little help from the universe to be like, right, you gotta...
There's no choice.
There's no choice. You gotta step things up, and you gotta pivot in the right direction, or maybe right isn't the right word, in the direction that feels most authentic and aligned to you.
But what was that first step like practically?
Oh,
tangibly?
practically.
Because we've already had this conversation, so I feel like maybe we need to like include the audience a little bit more in terms of like finding the accounts and how you found the studio and how you did the website. Like, I'd love to hear a little bit more of that journey of like, actually, how the hell does one get into tattooing?
Great question. So I think, do your research. It's not always fun, but if you like the career or if you like the whatever, you'll do the research anyway because you love it. And I found this studio in East London and I just liked the vibes. I can't give you a specific reason, but like everyone there looked really cool. I liked how diverse it was. And I think for a tattoo studio, I think it went against all of my expectations of it. And it just felt like it would be a safe space for me. So in my heart, I already sort of knew the type of studio I'd want to work in. So I wrote my manifestation document. I put that down. I was like, I want to work at Saint-Patry in the future after I graduate and whatnot. And then, when was it? We were doing one of our coursework assignments in December. And I think I was just having like a little dilly-dally little break, and I was on my phone and I saw that they had posted that they were looking for apprentices. And I thought, should I? And then that night I just decided, actually, what do I have to lose? Honestly, what do I have to lose? Yes, I don't have any drawings. Yes, I've never picked up a machine. Yes, the last time I actually drew something was a few years ago, but why not? Why the fuck not? So the deadline was Friday or something, and it was, I want to say, Monday. I spent those 5 days drawing anything and everything in my spare time. I did a few sort of photography gigs in the past. I've done a bit of like content and graphics for the job that I had at the time. So I like compiled all of that, and I guess I knew I didn't want to create like a traditional portfolio where you just stick it in like a book and then you show them. I wanted to have like a sort of sleekness to it, so I paid for my own website for a short time. I made it look nice, basically to cover the fact that I had 0 drawings and not a lot to show for myself. But yeah, the studio owner he loved that. He was really impressed by the fact that I'd taken the time to make my portfolio look good. So he could see that I had skills in sort of aesthetics and style and understanding sort of what looks good. And as a business owner and as a tattoo artist himself, those are the sort of values and qualities that he looks for in apprentices, right? Just because you can draw really well doesn't mean you understand what looks good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was a crazy week, but I'm glad I did it.
I think one of the most compelling parts of that story is like the bias towards action. I think sometimes we talk about like success coming a lot through luck, but it's a skill in itself to spot those opportunities and to act upon them. And I think sometimes people don't because they are scared. Like maybe, I'm not saying, I started my own business, so potentially not, but like if I would have seen that and I would have been like, I have no portfolio, I don't know, like you have the tendency to go into this like perfection spiral
100%, yeah.
and not do it because you get paralyzed by, oh my God, there's so much, like the how paralysis, and you just don't. And a lot of people miss out on really beautiful opportunities because they think that it's too many steps ahead of them. So what advice do you have about like just taking the bold step and getting going and then just like getting good along the way?
I think actually I get this advice from a lot of singer-songwriters. They like they make, when they get like creative block, for instance, they just gurge out, spew out really bad songs that don't go anywhere, but they're just sort of clearing out all of the junk, let's say, and to make room for something that would then go and sell millions and thousands of records and stuff like that. So I've really sort of taken that into my stride. And it's really hard because I also get paralyzed by perfectionism. But I think in order to combat that, you do just need to spew out anything. Absolutely anything. Because you can always go back and make it look good later, right?
Oh my God, Kim, we're talking about websites. My website. I made it with my roommate and she works in marketing, so it's the only reason that it was a functional website.
Oh my God.
But like, did I have any background on like what kind of images are meant to be on there and the colors? No. And only like 8 months down the line do I actually have the energy, the resources to invest in making it better.
Yeah.
And actually, as someone who now has a team and has employed people, the thing I look for is the passion. And so like if you give me an unpolished portfolio, but I can tell that it's personalized 100%. And it's made with the intention, then 100%. Yeah.
And that's it. That's exactly it. It's the intention, the passion, like those things you can see from a mile away, you know. You don't need to prove it. You can just see it already.
And do you have any advice on like how to articulate that with confidence? Because I think a lot of that also just comes in like how you talk about yourself. Like when you started, you didn't have any experience in the tattooing industry, but you were like, I'm cool. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And you put it together and packaged it in a way that was interesting to someone. So do you have any advice on how to do that?
I think everything starts from here.
Yeah.
Delulu is the Salulu. Truly, really and truly. So once you have this sorted out, the rest should be easy.
And how do you sort it out? What is your...
Oh, that's a work in progress. But I feel like once you're in the mindset of like detachment, acceptance, confidence, power, self-love, those are like the ingredients of anything good.
Give me a bottle of that.
I know.
Where do I buy that from?
Right. But I feel like as long as you have that, whether you get a no, whether you get, oh, we'll get back to you in 7 years kind of thing, you'll still come out of that either sort of, empowered because you did it, or you understand that you need to maybe try something else.
Yeah.
Or you're like, actually, no, I'm going to keep knocking at your door until you listen to me. And all of that comes from an element of, elements of those elements. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you didn't have confidence, you didn't have acceptance or detachment, you'd still sort of, I guess, after hearing that initial no, you'd really just marinate in that feeling of I'm not good enough, or I should stop. This isn't for me.
Yeah.
And hand up. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes we take a no to heart.
Yeah.
And I think it's just reminding each other that, you're one step no to a yes. And those no's might feel hard and heavy, but in the words of Dory, just keep swimming.
I love that. Also, rejection is not about like worth, it's about alignment.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like dating, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like not the right match.
It's true.
Right?
It's so true.
And so like if you were to get every opportunity you applied for, then you'd miss out on opportunities that were actually
100%. I feel like had I not been rejected from all the other jobs I'd applied for before deciding to do tattooing, I wouldn't be tattooing. Yeah, I probably would have been sort of paid more at a different job. But I wouldn't be doing something that I love, So sometimes those, as you say, those no's, the rejection leads to, redirection.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love that. And I actually want to talk about the business and financial side of tattooing. But before we go down that whole rabbit hole, let's talk a little bit about your journey from getting that apprenticeship to where you are now.
Yeah.
So you got the job. They liked your portfolio. Then what happened? Like you never picked up one of the machine, machine. What's it called? What is the?
Yeah, it's a machine.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say machine gun, but I guess not what it's called. What was it like actually from theory to practice of like actually becoming a tattoo artist?
It's a lot of independent work, which it should have been obvious, but because you're basically self-employed, but there's a lot of self-driven effort. Unfortunately, apprenticeships in the UK aren't considered real apprenticeships, so you don't get paid for the hours that you're there. So I had to basically work for free for a few months, which I was not used to. Working for free for anyone would be hard to get used to, but from a corporate girl, I was like, oh my God. I knew there'd be a lot of hard work. It's not like you turn up and you're like, I'm so cool, I get to draw people. You do have to sort of learn the ins and outs, and sometimes it's not so pretty.
It's not. What are unmasked the unglamorous parts
of my apprenticeship?
Yes, of tattooing in general.
I'll start with my apprenticeship, but like a lot of like cleaning, just like scrubbing floors and like toilets and stuff, just because you're basically meant to uphold the hygiene standards of the studio, and they're usually given to the apprentices. But it taught me a lot, I have like thick skin, and like sometimes you got to get your hands dirty to get the job done.
Yeah.
Also, like, hygiene is king.
Yeah.
You always have to uphold that, because you are dealing with needles and people's bodies. There are higher risks of infection and whatnot. So like that beginning journey was essential. 100%. Yeah. But the hardest part of tattooing, I guess it's more like creative block and not being able to produce. Speaking of creative block, also comparing yourself to other artists, because you can see my man Joe is, posting every day, creating content every day, and then sometimes it makes you feel a bit like you're not doing enough. And I think that's like the worst bit of tattooing.
And how does it actually work? Because I feel like that's something that people don't really understand as well. Like, what is the difference between a flash and like the artist making their own designs and people being like, I want that, and then someone coming to you with like a badly drawn picture of what they want and they're like, can you make me this?
Yeah.
Or like a picture from Pinterest of like, I want this exact thing. Like, how does the process work in terms of creativity as well?
So every artist is different, but the fundamentals are, I want to say, the same. So someone will come to you with a design, or they'll ask you about a design that you have, which is what we call like flash designs. So flash designs are designs that we've created ourselves and have posted or drawn up for someone to choose if they want it on their skin. And usually, like, when someone asks for that tattoo, they don't really want to make major changes to it. But because it's kind of like your baby, right? You wouldn't want to change it for someone else's thing. Like, you either take my flash or not. But that's, I guess, more of the way I like to design flash, because then it becomes a custom piece, right? Which I'm so happy to do, and most people should be happy to do. But then it's not flash. It's now a customized piece, which is more often than not actually looks cooler than the original flash design anyway. So anyway, and yeah, you'll have like a mini consultation where you sort of discuss the design and the size, the placement of it. God, I get like DM saying, I just want like a tiny circle on my arm or whatever, on my hand. It should be really easy. It should take like 5 minutes. It does not take 5 minutes. I think, let's say you've just walked into the shop. I think a good hour, let's average it out. A good hour will be just us discussing the design, placement, whatever. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I have been in those kind of situations where I've spoken to a client for over an hour. And then the setup, which can take 10 to 30 minutes. So that involves like setting up the machine, printing out the stencils. I say 10 to 30 because sometimes the printer doesn't work, so that takes a good amount of time. And all of a lot of just small things that, like BTS stuff that like clients might not understand, but I could talk about the setup for ages, but I think just to sort of be mindful of time. There are just a lot of small jobs to do before you actually tattoo someone, because obviously, like we mentioned earlier, we have to be careful that everything's clean and everything's set up to a good standard. And then we have to put the stencil on the skin. So the stencil is the design that you want to get. And some artists just print off the stencil as it is and then just stick it on. But a lot of artists have to basically redraw the design and basically map out the important elements. But you basically have to map out the important bits, because sometimes when you stick the stencil onto the skin, it just turns into a blurry mess and your map is gone. So that's what it is. You're basically mapping out the design to make it easier for me to tattoo. And then that takes some time. And then putting it on the skin and putting it in the right place takes a bit of time as well, because we always want to try and make sure it sort of sits on the body right. When I say right, I mean it's right for you as the person getting the tattoo. Right as in it sort of goes with the anatomy and flow of your body, because sometimes tattoos, you might have an idea for a tattoo, but then you soon realize that it looks better on the arm instead of the leg or something like that. So there's just a lot to think about before you actually tattoo someone's body. And then you have to wait for it to dry, which takes 10-15 minutes. And then you choose your inks and what needles you're going to use, and then you actually start tattooing, which might take it'll take how long is a piece of string. It'll take however long it needs to. So there is a bit of a process, and I wish I explained it a lot better than I have.
No, it sounds really interesting, and no one's. I mean, I've got tattoos. Sorry, parents. So I've seen it firsthand. And it does take a lot longer than it looks, and it is a way more complicated process. And I think it needs to be done correctly, because I mean, there's not a lot you can do to reverse it.
No.
And so, what has that been your experience with like the customer service side of it, and like people being happy with their designs, and like I think that's a lot of pressure on you as well to make sure that you get it right. How have you found like using people's bodies as a canvas for your art?
You know what, I forget sometimes, like when I'm tattooing, that I'm actually tattooing a person, and then their head will poke up and I'll be like, oh my god, jump scare. But I think having a background in hospitality has really sort of helped a lot. I think people don't realize, a bit of advice to everyone needs to work in hospitality at least once in their life, or at least in a customer facing sort of role, because the customer service element of it, the client facing bit, comes quite naturally to me. And I think that comes down to the fact, I mean, naturally I'm quite a chatty person anyway, but also being used to speaking to people that you don't know, that would help that. So if anyone's a bit shy or wants to come out of their shell a bit, I definitely recommend working in hospitality. Like I used to train people in a cafe who would come to me at the start of their sort of time at the cafe, and they'd be all shy and be like, I don't want to shout people's names. And then by the end of the Joe, Joe, your coffee's ready. So it's like it really thickens your skin, and it really makes you come out of your shell a bit, and you're a bit more confident in those, I guess, spaces where you do need to have a professional front, but also trying to balance being super friendly and charismatic as well. So I forgot the question. Sorry.
No, it's just about the pressure of like working on actual people's bodies, and also like we spoke about this like in other conversations that we've had, and also like just through chats before recording, that it's a really intimate thing, and like it's almost a therapy session for the person, because they're like often like not stripping down, but like they have to take off some sort of clothing to get their tattoos done. They have to lie down in quite like a painful, sometimes vulnerable situation. And usually, not always, but usually the tattoo has some sort of emotional significance to them. So you end up chatting about it. Like, what is that like, the responsibility of like someone's body, someone's emotion, someone's memories? And how do you find like doing the therapy side of it as well?
Oh my God, sometimes it's a bit, when you say it like that, I'm like, oh, it's a bit overwhelming. But I think that's when it's like, you just have to be a human about it, you know? You just have to hear people out, and if they are worried, or especially if it's your first tattoo, like just because I'm used to tattooing people and just because I've got tattoos doesn't mean that they're going to be fine with it, because I was fine with it. Like sometimes you can really feel when someone's scared, and I think part of it is just being human, just saying, you okay? Like, would you like anything to drink? Stuff like that. Like, don't make people feel shit for a natural feeling, you know? Getting something for the first time will always feel a bit scary to an extent, right? So it's just being there and comforting them, and just being a nice person, you know, a normal person. I think that's the bare minimum. But I think, and then obviously, with another layer of it is, you know, if it is in like on the chest, let's say, they do have to take off their tops or whatever, so it can be quite vulnerable for them, intimate for us, but we always want to make sure that their experience and their current like basically that they're happy to be there. And we try our best to make sure that we can make sure that they're comfortable in that experience. So we have like privacy screens that we put up. We always have snacks available because sometimes you need a bit of a sugar boost if you feel a bit faint from the tattoo. Like we've got blankets, pillows, you name it. We always want to just create a nice, comfortable, relaxing experience because that's also what you're paying for, right? You're not just getting the ink on your skin forever. You're paying for the experience of getting the tattoo. So I think there's a lot more to a nice thing on your body forever, you know?
That's beautiful. And I think also related to that experience, that's a big part of when someone should decide who to work with their tattoo. Not just the style of like, is it fine line? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah.
So for people who are listening, who are thinking of getting their first tattoo, what are the what are the red flags and green flags, and what should they look out for when deciding?
Oh, that's a great question. I always look up where they work, as in always look up where the artist works, because it's a lot easier to go for like an artist that works in a really sort of established studio that has good reviews and good sort of client experience. Always read the reviews, basically. I think that's always a good way to start. If someone is like they call it a guest artist, so that is someone who travels to another country to guest and tattoo in a different country, basically. I could have worded that a lot more eloquently, but you get the gist. Someone that travels and tattoos elsewhere from there.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, you can see it on their Instagram page as well. Like, you can read the comments, you can see all of their posts. Sometimes they'll have like a highlight button on their Instagram page called like reviews or feedback, and you can like tap through and see what people are saying. Obviously, they're only going to post the good stuff, but it's still better to read the good stuff and see what they're what they're complimenting or what positive factors they're highlighting. So if they're just saying the tattoo looks good, but they're not saying that they were nice, I like to maybe I read in between the lines a bit, but I feel like a good marker of a good artist is that they'll point out, the hygiene was great, or like I had such a lovely conversation with them, or they made me feel so relaxed and I didn't feel rushed. Like all of those different factors become markers of a great artist, I think.
From the artist's perspective, I think it's so interesting now. We're in such a fascinating time of creative industry where almost all creatives need to have some sort of social media presence to basically act as a funnel for their business. Like all the artists to get clients. I mean, you can do it through referrals and word of mouth, but like realistically, social media and what you were saying about like comparing with other people. So how have you found like the social media side of like running your business and like creating like a funnel to get clients and stuff? And like, how do you document your journey as an artist, as an individual, the personal branding side? Do you have any insight and advice around that?
It's not easy. It's hard. It can be fun for sure, but it's like sometimes it feels like a one-woman show and you're trying to do everything all at once. So sometimes I do feel a bit stir crazy or like I'm getting burnt out. But then I sort of look to the people around me. And it's funny because I mentioned earlier about comparing myself to other artists, but you can either see that as a negative thing or as a positive thing, and see that other artists are also going through the same struggles as you, but they show up for themselves. And sometimes it's a nice reminder that you should show up for yourself as well, you know? So yeah, I was speaking to my mentor about it, and he was saying, Kim, I think you post a bit more than you already do. And he's got a good point. So I think just being consistent with it, consistency over
quality.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to say it, but sometimes in this day and age,
my posts are shit.
Yeah,
they're really bad, but they came out, you know.
They came out, exactly,
and they had to come out so that the better ones could come out at some point.
singer-songwriters, you have to spew out the shit.
You have to before you can actually sing. You know, like you have to cough it out.
100%. And I think that's just. I think that's just the bread and butter of social media, to be honest. Like, that's how you get the algorithm to work in your favor. It's like people just have to see your face.
And what about the cringe? Because we came from, like, again, a very different bubble.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like talking about this all over the internet, and then you're used to all the people on your feed just being like random people that you know from out and about.
Yeah.
I struggle with like talking about my work very openly to everyone I know.
Yeah.
Like, fine, if it had its own little work page or whatever, then okay. But on my personal accounts, like, I found the whole personal branding side of it really emotionally like challenging.
Yeah.
So how do you find like the fear of being perceived and like cringe and all that?
I'll tell you, I had this conversation with someone the other day, and we had two like main points. First one being the difference between the UK social media and like the US social media. The US guys, they don't care about being cringe, right? Whereas I feel like Brits are a bit more like, oh no, we can't be trying hard. We can't look like we're trying hard, but we must try hard, but we can't look like we're trying hard. So that's the essence.
I love the voice.
Thank you. And then the second bit, I guess, part of that question is, I think we forget like how COVID has really affected us / future generations. And because I think we're just sort of used to being indoors and sort of hiding away from the world, that now that we're out in the world, we're scared to be perceived, I think. And I don't know if there's causation, correlation, you know, I could be completely wrong, but you can see it in like the kids that have been brought up in COVID times. Like, they're quite, or the ones I've met are quite sort of shy and quite timid and a bit anxious. Even the pets that I've met, they're all like shy and timid, and because they're not used to being surrounded by people. And I think we are now growing a sort of population that is scared of being seen like at all. And I think it's quite hard if it's, you know, a sort of generational thing. But I'm going on a tangent. You're right. Sometimes it's so hard, but you have to be cringe. You have to.
And I guess it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people who celebrate that and who are in their own way doing their own thing, so they don't think you're cringe because they're like either a few steps ahead of you or they're on the same journey.
Yeah.
And your boyfriend is also an artist.
Yes, he is.
So how has that been in terms of like having someone that does the same job as you but like different creative styles, and like you said about comparison and like sharing ideas? Like, how have you managed to balance that?
Oh, it's so nice actually, because I like how you mentioned about choosing your tribe, because it's so important. And you might, you know, before starting your business or me starting tattooing, you might have like this group of friends that you're like, oh, these guys are my ride or die. But I don't know if it's happened to you, but it's happened to me for sure. Like, now that I've started something new and different, that circle of friend doesn't look like a circle of friends as much. They're maybe on the outer circle or not in the circle. But you do have to make sure that you are surrounded by the right kind of people, because I think energy is so important. If they're not giving you that good energy, that then feeds into you and then feeds into your work. And so you want to be surrounded by people who support you, even if, you know, what you're doing they don't understand it, but at least they can, you know, that they're rooting you on or cheering for you. And I think that's why, like, it's great that my boyfriend does something similar, because he'll understand, or he does understand the weird, not weird, but all the problems that may look minor to, and sorry for lack of better words, for an outsider, but for like a tattoo artist, it's like, oh, I get it. You know, that would shit on my day too. So it's nice being able to have those conversations. And also, he's been tattooing or been a creative for longer than I have. So he's been super helpful in terms of like all the administrative, financial side as well. Because it can be overwhelming when you're signing something out. You have to talk to HMRC, you have to, you know, you have to, I don't know, do a self-assessment, all that stuff that I'm yet to experience. But I know that once I do it in January, I'll have, you know, my boyfriend or like fellow artists, they'll understand how to help me if I have any questions. So that's majorly important when you, in times when you do feel a bit scared and you do feel a bit lonely, just knowing that those people have your back, at least in that regard.
And for anyone who's watching who wants to enter the world of tattooing, where can they find like you and also just like cool creative mentors and friends?
Oh, okay. So my Instagram is Kimberley Verana. I work at Sans Patrie Studio. It's French, so I'm probably butchering the pronunciation.
I'm going to try.
But they've also got a clothing brand now, which is cool.
That's
so
really cool.
It's quite inspiring working in a place that you can see it's trying to evolve. So it makes you think, damn, hater, let's go to go. But in terms of mentors, I think I could give you names, but then if their stuff isn't what you're looking for, then what I'm saying is a bit redundant. But try find people that let's say aesthetically, just try to find people that suit your vibe, and then see who they follow, and then follow them, and then see who they follow, and then follow them, and then before you know it, your feed will be full of those kind of people. And I think what you consume is, people don't think about that much. You know, we're so used to consuming everything.
Yeah.
And I think, brainwash's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
So now I think it's cool that we have so much access to different kinds of information and stuff. Mm-hmm. But now we have the power to filter all the rotting stuff out.
Yeah.
So I think curate your what you consume in the same way you'd create your portfolio.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. I love that. And because I could keep asking you questions about this for years, but for the interest of time, we're going to do a rapid fire.
Go on.
To just wrap things up, because there's so many questions that I still have. But we're just going to just give me quick, funny,
fire at me.
Whatever comes to mind. Yeah. Ugliest tattoo idea that someone has proposed to you?
Wait. I know this. Just give me a second. A headphones, but they're roller skating.
Headphones are roller skating.
Headphones are roller skating. Something like that. Go.
Headphones are roller skating. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know.
It's okay.
Also, I was just an apprentice, so I didn't know. I would, even if I wanted to tattoo that, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I was such a baby.
Best resource for all aspiring tattoo artists?
Instagram.
Good accounts to follow that aren't like artist accounts but are just creative accounts.
Least. I should know this.
I really like the I Like Networking account. I don't know if that...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I need to actually follow them. I've seen them pop up.
We can make a list off camera. We'll put them in the description, yeah?
Okay. Here.
Yes.
That's my list. That's my list.
Yes. Project that you are excited to work on your bucket list?
On my bucket list. I'm doing acting right now, so definitely be an acting project.
That's exciting. Yeah. We're going to have you back on to talk about like all the other creative endeavors. If someone wanted to get a tattoo, one thing that they have to know before the experience, like
eat something.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, eat something.
Wow,
it's underrated.
And in terms of aftercare, one thing that people forget that they should know,
you can shower.
What? I stank for like 2 days.
That's outrageous. Oh my God.
That's brilliant. parting advice for anyone that is scared to start the thing that's calling them but is unconventional.
Oh, fuck it. There's a quote from the Queen's Gambit, and I think I forgot her character, but she's talking about being. Anyway, you'll know when I say it, but she says, "Fuck it if they can't take a joke," and I love that. That's like when I walk through life. That is a quote I bring with me.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, I mean, it has a different meaning, but for me, it's more like, yeah, fuck it.
Nothing is that serious.
No, it's not that serious, exactly. And, you know, whatever the outcome is, if it's like cringe or silly or like, you know, something to be laughed at,
Yeah.
it's a joke. So, fuck if you can't take the joke. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, you are the last episode before the official rebrand, and we are going from being called Empower Sounds to Reclaiming Bossy. So I guess as our bridge to the next season and this next era, I want to ask what the word bossy means to you, if you've ever been called it, and if you're reclaiming it.
Oh, I wish I had something profound to say, but I don't. But, well, God, bossy. Actually, you know what? That you're right. Bossy has, in my life, been used in a negative way. And I like how you want to reclaim it and how you're renaming your brand to that effect. Because, yeah, bossy is good.
Bossy is
good. We love bossy because bossy is powerful. Bossy is beautiful. Bossy is confident, but she's also vulnerable. And bossy is a detached baddie. She doesn't take shit, but she's also open to hearing others' opinions. Bossy is God.
Bossy is
God.
Bossy is the era of now. Yeah. So thank you for being the last official episode of the Empower Sounds podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful to have you.